Good morning, everybody. We're going to do All-Inclusive Training 101 today. Let me introduce myself just a quick minute here. My name is Shelley Robison. I have been a travel agent for 20 plus years. I do try to concentrate on all-inclusives within Mexico and the Caribbean as my specialty within the business. But that doesn't mean I don't book other things as well. So I do try to concentrate on all-inclusives. We are going to touch base today on some of the basics on what inclusives are, why they are of value to your client, and how to qualify your client. There will also be a all-inclusive training 102 next week, same time on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you can tune in for that, that would be great also. And we'll go a little bit more in depth at that point of what all this means. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, it is All-Inclusive Training 101. So we're going to start with what an all-inclusive is. Basically, it's a stress-free vacation for your client. How about a vacation where all your food, drinks, tips, taxes, and some activities are included in the upfront price? That is the basic description of what an all-inclusive is. It can be broken out in many different ways, and we will touch base on some of that. But overall, your clients are going to pay an upfront price for all their meals, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drinks, be it soft drinks or alcohol. Tips, meaning they don't have to tip extra if they don't feel inclined to. Taxes, Uncle Sam gets his part, so taxes are also included in some activities, most likely non-motorized water sports. Sometimes if you go into an upper high-end brand, it will also include some motorized water sports, but we'll touch base on that. We'll get a little bit more into detail that usually probably in training 102. Who benefits from an all-inclusive? So you have travelers on a budget. You have families with a variety of tastes. No worries about the extras. No need to carry large amounts of cash. They like to try new things, less stress, more security, people that like to eat and drink, and free activities. So travelers on a budget, they don't want to have to keep thinking about how much this certain meal is going to cost them if they can afford a nice dinner. You know, hey, can I have that extra drink this afternoon? It's all included. So it's really a budget-friendly option. There are many different, budgets for travelers and for all-inclusive resorts. So some of them are budget-friendly, some of them are more towards a very lax budget and people that can afford to spend a little bit more. But you will find a property that fits within your budget, within your client's budget. Families with a variety of tastes. So you have, your family of four with two little kids. Little Johnny doesn't want to eat what mom and dad are eating. He wants his hamburger and fries. Susie wants her hot dog and fries. So, and maybe mom and dad want a nicer dinner to celebrate a special occasion. So the family with a variety of tastes can get all of that covered in one resort because there'll be a multiple of restaurants to choose from that are included in their price, and they don't have to worry about paying out of pocket for extras. That goes into the next little highlight here of no worries about extras. So if, let's say, little Johnny gets his dinner and he doesn't like it, but he's still hungry, you can head down the walkway to the buffet and little Johnny can eat something off the buffet and you're not going to have to pay for an extra meal. So it is very stress-free when it comes to that. No need to carry large amounts of cash. You're not having to worry about dropping tips every time you get up from a table. You don't have to worry about having money or cash to pay for the dinner that you guys just ate, or lunch, or the extra drinks you just went up to the bar for, and that getting wet while you're in the pool. And so none of that is a worry. Really cuts down on what you have to worry about taking with you on vacation. People that like to try new things, maybe they want to try a Japanese restaurant for the first time. They've never done that before because they were scared to spend the money. That's if the resort has a Japanese restaurant, they can go and try that for free of charge. They end up loving it, great, they can go back another night. Something that they tried, they ended up not liking it as well as they thought they would. It's no skin off their back because they didn't have to pay for it out of pocket. It was already paid for. Less stress. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what your vacation budget is before you leave. It's done. You may have to think about excursions and a few different things like that, but you don't have to sit down and write down a budget for what are we going to spend on lunch on Wednesday? What are we going to spend on dinner, for Thursday? So a lot less stress for the entire family involved. Mom and dad don't have to be stressed out that little Johnny's going to like the restaurant that they pick for dinner, because if he doesn't, it's fine. We can go and find him something else. More security. You don't have to carry a lot of credit cards with you because you have to have ways to pay for things. I tell my clients all the time, take one credit card with you, leave the rest at home. You don't have to carry big wads of cash, so you're not a target for petty theft. People that like to eat and drink, they can try all different kinds of food. They can eat as much as they want. They can drink as much as they want. How fabulous would that be? They can have a drink at the swim up bar in the pool. They can go to the beachside grill for lunch and have, their lunch and another drink and go back to the pool. They can have a mid-afternoon snack. They don't have to worry about spending that money out of pocket. Free activities. We touched base a little bit on this, meaning non-motorized water sports are usually included. So snorkeling equipment, a lot of times they do have a time limit, so maybe an hour per day from the resort, but you can walk right on to the beach from your resort, do a little snorkeling, see if it's something that you like, and then, return the equipment, decide if maybe you want to book a more extensive excursion that way with snorkeling involved if you've never tried it before. Maybe they have kayaks available. All the resorts have a little bit different offerings. So that is our responsibility as travel advisors to find that out for our clients, but maybe they want to try out a kayak. They can take a kayak out for an hour. They decide that they love it and want to do a more extensive tour on that, and they go ahead and book that. Or they come back and book next time and say, hey, book us a kayak excursion and you're going to make the extra commission off of that. So check into the free activities that the resort offers, because they do vary by resort. Why should you book all-inclusive vacations? So more commissions for you. I touched on it just a little bit. You can book excursions with different tour companies and add on that commission. So Apple Vacations, FunJet Vacations, Vacation Express, they all have additional options for tours that you can pre-book for your clients. Get that commission added on to your commission price. That is a little bit different right now because of COVID. A lot of the tour companies are limiting the amount of people that they allow, or they've, still aren't back to full source of allowing people to book tours. So some of that has wavered just a touch over COVID, but we are expecting that all to come back. So it'll be a great opportunity for travel advisors like ourselves to gain that extra commission. One-stop price shopping. I compare apples to apples. I use Apple Vacations. I use FunJet Vacations. Sometimes I use Vacation Express. You can take one resort, price it with all three options, exactly match the room category with the same flights, and see where you're coming in and know that that's the tour operator you're going to use. You don't have to go through all kinds of steps to figure out who's the best tour operator for Europe? Who am I going to use for this transfer? And who am I going to use for this hotel? And, different things like that. So you can do one-stop price shopping. I have my three go-tos, which I just said, which was Apple, FunJet, and usually Vacation Express. I compare them. I figure out from one resort, I find out who's the least expensive, and then I price them out for maybe 2 or 3 resorts to give my clients the options of different resorts after I've qualified them. So happy clients. You have a client that is thrilled to death that they don't have to, they have a less stressful vacation. They don't have to carry a lot of cash. Everything's taken care of for them. They don't have to worry about transfers. It's included in the price of the vacation. 99% of the time, you as a travel advisor have to make sure of that. You have happy clients that don't have to worry about trying to please everybody in their group or in their family, because there are many activities involved. Extra commission by adding tours. We talked about that a little bit. You can also add on certain things at the resort that will add on extra commission to you. Some of the higher end resorts have specialty dinners on the beach. You can pre-book that and make commission off of that. So if you have a honeymoon couple, that's a great option. Maybe they have a higher room category with a private plunge pool or a swim out suite at some of the higher end resorts. That's something to make sure you're qualifying your client for, to see if you can get that extra commission off of just say a standard room. Checks a lot of the travelers' boxes. So a lot of people want a stress-free vacation. They want to lay on the beach, but they want activities. They want nightlife. They want great food. All-inclusives check all of those boxes for your clients. So by qualifying your client, you'll know exactly what they're looking for and be able to pick a resort that that has a lot of those boxes checked off for your client. And they become, number 3, they become happy clients because they're getting exactly what they want out of the vacation. How to qualify your clients for an all-inclusive vacation. This is probably the most important thing you can do just with any type of vacation. For clients, desired activities. Are they going to just want to lay on the beach and people watch and sip a cocktail? Or are they going to want to be on the go all the time and have things unlimited to them so that they don't get bored? If you're like my husband and myself, we're total opposites. When I go to an all-inclusive, I want to lay on the beach, people watch and sip a cocktail. He wants to be on the go all the time and doing something. So an all-inclusive for us is perfect because he can take out the non-motorized water sports. He can go kayaking for an hour or 2 hours. He can go snorkeling for a little bit while I lay on the beach and find out and make sure he doesn't drown in the ocean. So it covers all the bases on whatever anybody wants to do and what activities. Most of the resorts do have nightlife, meaning they'll have a disco that'll open up later at night, or they'll have a show that everybody can go watch. So it kind of checks off that idea also of having a little bit of after sun, sundown activities. Budget, very important on what your client is shooting for budget. Are they very budget conscious? Or maybe it's a honeymoon, maybe it's a vow renewal, maybe it's an anniversary where they want to splurge a little bit. That is totally going to depend on which property, obviously, that you put them in, what room category you're going to put them in, so that you can get that extra commission by maybe upgrading their room or adding a special add-on for them to make it special. A lot of higher end properties will have a standard room where maybe it does fit within their budget. So they're going to get a taste of that higher end quality resort and want to go back maybe in a year or two, and you have a repeat client and they're going to upgrade that room at that point. So it's always great to really dig down and ask those questions. Maybe you have multi-generational travel. You have grandparents going with the entire family and they're kind of using it as a small family reunion. That's going to depend on who wants what, because you can pick a middle of the road property for cost wise, put the people that want a little bit nicer room in a higher room category. You're going to make a little bit more commission off of them. The family that's budget conscious, maybe with young children that don't have as much disposable income, you can put them in a lower room category, but they all get the benefit of the same resort. So ease of destination, depending on where you're located, depends on how easy it is for someone to get to a location. If you're located in the Midwest, it's pretty simple to get, down to Mexico, to Cancun, over to the Caribbean, to the Caribbean side of St. Thomas, St. Croix, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, all of those, maybe a one-stop through Charlotte, which is kind of a mess right now with American Airlines, but it is easy to get to. Cancun has nonstop charter flights that can get your passengers back and forth without any issues. And they can also get over to the Pacific side of Mexico without a lot of trouble. If you're where I am, I'm on the West Coast. It's much easier for me to get to Mexico than it is to the Caribbean side. But if you watch flights, you can usually come up with a pretty good option for that. Also, East Coast people have it easy, lots of flights going in and out of the major hubs over there that can get them pretty much anywhere that they would want to go. You don't want your travelers to spend all day traveling from one destination to another because it does eat up a whole day. So you want to make sure you're talking, when you're qualifying your client, find out, a lot of people say, well, I don't know where I really want to go. I want a really nice beach and, all of that. You can kind of qualify them from the ease of the destination of where they're traveling from. Traveling outside the US, you have to make sure your clients are comfortable with that, especially in this day and age with COVID and all the different restrictions required. There are a few all-inclusives within the US, Club Med being the primary one. We are going to touch base here in a little bit, the differences, because there are all-inclusives, there's inclusives, and then there's ultra-inclusive. We'll touch base a lot more on that in 102. but making sure that your clients understand the difference if they pick a resort is extremely important, because you do not want them to be upset when they arrive at their destination and come to find out what they thought was included maybe is not. So that's another important idea to keep in mind when qualifying. Location, again, qualifying them in the fact of, do they want white sand beach? Do they really care if they have a great beach? Some people are more enthralled with pools. My family, myself and my husband, we love to lay on the beach and look at the beach and walk the beach in the morning, but to swim the beach is not extremely important to us. We like to swim in the pools. So having a great big pool with a swim up bar is one of our go-tos that we look at when we pick a resort. Knowing that, maybe they want pure white sand, the picturesque sand beach. That's not going to be the Pacific side of Mexico. That side of Mexico and further down into Central America is very dark sand, usually sometimes black sand, because they're on the Pacific side and it's more volcanic over that way. So if they really want the white sand beach, you really need to look more within the smaller islands of the Caribbean. So keep that in mind when you're qualifying and find out exactly kind of what they're looking for. So very, very important there. Locations of all-inclusive resorts. Mexico and the Caribbean are really your major go-tos. That's where most people think of when they think of all-inclusives. There are some in Central America. I was just in Costa Rica. They have a couple there. It's kind of an up-and-coming location for them. There are a couple more in the works being built and planned in Costa Rica. So keep that in mind for people that maybe have done Mexico and Caribbean, want to try something new. Asia Pacific is also kind of up and coming with some all-inclusives in the Maldives. A little bit different aspect of what they consider an all-inclusive, which is what we'll talk about in 102. But keep that in mind. Also, Dominican Republic falls within the Caribbean, but one of my favorite destinations. There's also quite a few over in Europe. So along this Spain, along the coastline of Spain, a lot of the properties that we know of as a brand within Mexico and the Caribbean are based within Spain. So like the Riu brand, RIU, one of my go-tos for families on a modest budget, not super cheap, but not super expensive, very modest budget, very go-to for family friendly. I've put honeymoon couples there on a higher room category. They are based in Spain. So they have tons of properties along the coastline of Spain. So keep that in mind. They are located, throughout the world. You just have to be a little bit careful about what the differences are and what they include. Like I said, we will be tackling all-inclusive 102 next week, but we'll talk about the difference between inclusive, all-inclusive, and ultra-inclusive. So there is a difference. Some properties only include breakfast and dinner and maybe don't include alcoholic drinks. If you have somebody who likes to indulge on vacation, that could be an issue. Maybe you have somebody that doesn't like to drink, but they really are foodies. So which property fits within their qualifications better? That's something that you really have to dig into. All-inclusive, which is kind of the umbrella that we use for everything, will kind of depend on, on what you do and which property you pick. Ultra-inclusive, higher end properties, sometimes they'll include a few motorized sports, or they'll include a tour on a glass bottom boat. Maybe they have a higher end, a lot of times they'll have higher end food to choose from, a lot more restaurants to choose from. So keep that in mind. Also, some of the restaurants and all-inclusives do have a dress code. So that's something else to look into. They're not super strict unless you get into the really high-end properties, but that is something to make sure that you tell your clients, and so that they're prepared for that when they go to pack. We'll talk about a few of the most popular resorts. I have my favorites that I go to. Couples resorts in Jamaica are my go-to for honeymooners. I've booked them several times. They have a great agent program that we'll talk about later. And then Riu, like I said, is kind of my go-to for families, moderate and modest budgets, they work well within that. They have higher room categories too for some honeymooners, so they're a great go-to. I know Barcelo is a big one. We just had a corporate training with Barcelo. Iberostars are good. So any of that, but we'll talk about a little bit more of those next week. It is on June 30th at 10 o'clock Pacific time. We will also touch base on some agent benefit programs so that when you are booking these for your clients, that you can reap the benefits of being the agent. So reach out to me if you should have any questions. You can find me on Messenger or in all the team chats. You can always reach out, send me a private message, whichever works best for you. I'd be happy to answer any of the questions that you may have about all-inclusives. I love them. It's an easy commission. It's an easy booking. Once you've booked a couple, you really get the idea of what it is. You'll learn to love certain brands over others, and you'll get to learn those brands. And also, it's always fun to go check out the resorts yourself. So keep that in mind. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.